It is a world etched in ice and wind, a landscape largely misunderstood through the lens of modern fiction. The Pleistocene epoch, the Great Ice Age, was not a barren wasteland, but a vast, cold grassland, a tundra steppe that stretched across continents, supporting a caste of giants. This was the dominion of the megafauna, and among them, the herbivores stood as moving mountains, shaping the very earth beneath their feet. The story of the mammoth is a grand saga of migration and adaptation spanning millions of years. Their genesis lies not in the frozen north, but in the warmth of Africa, some 5 million years before the dawn of human history. From this cradle, an exodus began. As the ancestors of modern Indian elephants journeyed south into Asia, the early mammoths pushed north, a slow, inexorable wave of life moving into the Near East and across the boundless expanse of Eurasia. Initially, it was the southern mammoth that settled the temperate forests. But the planet was changing. 2 million years ago, as the climate cooled and glaciers began their patient advance, evolution demanded a more resilient form. In response, the steppe mammoth emerged from its smaller predecessor. This was a true colossus, a behemoth standing up to 4.7 meters at the shoulder and weighing as much as 10 tons. It is believed this species was the first to don the thick, shaggy coat that would become the hallmark of its lineage. From the steppes of southern Siberia, its dominion grew, stretching from the plains of modern-day France to the frigid prairies of North America. Evolution, a relentless sculptor, then carved 2 distinct paths. In the warmer climes of the Americas, the steppe mammoth gave rise to the Columbian mammoth. But in the Siberian heartland, around 800,000 years ago, the ultimate icon of the Ice Age was forged, the woolly mammoth. Though smaller than its steppe ancestor, with large males reaching 3.5 meters and a weight of 8 tons, it was perfectly engineered for the cold. Its body was insulated by a dense undercoat and a long, dark brown mantle of hair. Its formidable tusks, great curving arcs of ivory, could grow to 420 centimeters and weigh up to 90 kilograms, serving as tools to clear snow and as weapons for defense. They vanished from the continents some 12,000 years ago. Yet their story has a final, poignant chapter. While civilizations rose in Egypt and the first great pyramids reached for the sky, a relic population of dwarf mammoths made their last stand on the isolated sanctuary of Wrangel Island, surviving until the 2nd millennium before the current era. The mammoth did not walk this frozen world alone. North of the Himalayas, in a crucible of cold 2 million years ago, another titan was taking shape, the woolly rhinoceros. From this point of origin, it embarked on its own great dispersal, spreading across what is now China and Mongolia, past the shores of Lake Baikal and ever northward into Eurasia. During the Pleistocene, it was not the largest of its kind. Europe had known the great Merck's rhinoceros and the colossal, single-horned Elasmotherium. But as the glaciers advanced, it was the woolly rhinoceros, cloaked in its thick, shaggy armor, that was destined to inherit this new, frozen kingdom. These were the architects of an ecosystem now lost to time. Their immense herds thundered across plains that are now forests and cities, their lives a testament to nature's power to create forms of unimaginable scale and resilience. Their silence now echoes through geologic time, a profound reminder of the planet's immense cyclical power to both create and to erase. Amidst the giants of the Mammoth Steppe, one creature became an icon of endurance, a symbol of the brutal frozen world it commanded, the woolly rhinoceros. This was a beast forged in the advancing cold, adapting with greater success than many of its contemporaries to the planet's plunging temperatures. Roughly 250,000 years ago, its dominion was vast, a sprawling territory that stretched from the misty shores of ancient Britain to the far, icy reaches of Chukotka. It was an undisputed heavyweight of the Pleistocene, second in size only to the colossal mammoth that gave the era its name. Growing to a formidable 4.5 meters in length and weighing well over 2 tons, this was a fortress of muscle and shaggy, insulating fur. Its most defining features, however, were the 2 horns that crowned its massive head. The posterior horn was a modest affair, a mere 50 atta entirely. Growing up to a full meter in length, it was not a sharp, conical weapon. This remarkable tool served multiple purposes. It was a formidable weapon for defense against predators and for the violent, ritualistic clashes between rival males. But it was also an instrument of survival, used to sweep aside deep snowdrifts, to uncover the frozen grasses and sedges buried beneath. Yet, even this master of adaptation could not outlast its world. As the Pleistocene drew to its close, the rhino's vast empire had crumbled, its populations cornered into the last refuges of Transbaikalia and the northern territories of China and Mongolia. The last of these giants vanished from the earth approximately 14,000 years ago, though tantalizingly recent fossils, dated to just 9 or 10,000 years old, suggest a few scattered survivors may have held on for a few centuries more, lone relics of a bygone age. But the woolly rhinoceros was not alone. Roaming the same Eurasian steppes was an altogether different beast, a distant, enigmatic cousin known as Elasmotherium. By the time the great glaciations began, only a single species of this ancient lineage remained, the Siberian Elasmotherium. Its remains are unearthed from European Russia to the southern Urals and across Siberia, yet its heartland appears to have been the cold, arid tundra steppes of Central Asia. This was a creature of truly titanic proportions, a rhino that dwarfed even its woolly relative. Reaching 4.5 meters in length and standing 2 meters tall at the shoulder, it could weigh more than 4 tons. Its sheer bulk was its shield, a powerful deterrent to the era's fearsome predators and a key advantage in the competition for scarce resources. The last of these behemoths seem to have disappeared from southern West Siberia between 35 and 38,000 years ago. Yet for all its colossal size, its most defining feature remains a profound enigma. Not a single fossilized horn of Elasmotherium has ever been recovered. Its shape, its size, its very existence are matters of inference and speculation. Deep within the Kapova cave in the Ural Mountains, a prehistoric artist painted the image of a great beast, bearing a single, impossibly large horn upon its brow. It is a powerful, haunting image. Many believe this is the face of the lost giant, immortalized in ochre by an artist who saw it with their own eyes. But without physical proof, the cave art remains a tantalizing clue, not a definitive answer, leaving the true nature of this phantom of the Pleistocene shrouded in mystery. The frozen plains were not merely an arena for titans. They were home to thundering, innumerable herds of steppe bison, the ancestors of both the modern European wisent and the American bison. During the Ice Age, their range was immense, stretching from what is now Spain all the way across the Bering Land Bridge and into Canada. Imagine it, 2-meter-tall bulls, their shoulders heavy with muscle, armed with immense arching horns and cloaked in dense fur against the relentless wind. They were the lifeblood of the Ice Age, the primary quarry for packs of wolves, cave hyenas, prides of cave lions, and the increasingly cunning bipedal hunters, our own ancestors. Yet, around 120,000 years ago, a remarkable chapter in their story unfolded. The European populations of steppe bison began to interbreed with the local aurochs, the wild ancestors of modern cattle. This genetic exchange occurred despite an evolutionary chasm of more than 1 million years separating the two species, a testament to the powerful, unpredictable currents of life. These creatures are now gone, their world of ice and wind melted into memory. They exist only as bones pulled from the permafrost, as faint paintings on a cave wall, as genetic ghosts within the bloodlines of their descendants. They are silent testaments to a world that was, and a reminder of the profound and permanent nature of loss. In the deep genetic past, when the world was younger and wilder, life conducted an improbable experiment. Two distinct lineages, the mighty aurochs of the forest and the shaggy steppe bison of the plains, converged. The animals that resulted from this union were found to be genetically compatible, yet nature had imposed a formidable barrier. The hybrid bulls, powerful and immense, were born sterile, a genetic dead end. It was the cows that held the key. Possessing the ability to bear young, they carried the future within them, birthing a new species from the ghost of two others. This was the genesis of the creature we now know as the European Zuber, a living echo of an ancient fusion. Across the ocean, the steppe bison's direct descendants held their ground. Today, only the American bison remains, a lone inheritor of that vast, grassy kingdom. But among the extinct spectres of its family tree, there were true titans. One was the long-horned bison, a creature of almost mythical proportions. Its head was crowned with a breathtaking span of horns, stretching up to 2 meters from tip to tip. It stood nearly 2.5 meters at the shoulder, a moving mountain of muscle and bone that could weigh as much as 2 tons. It was a beast built for a world of giants, a world that has long since vanished. While the great bison thundered across the grasslands, another giant moved through the shifting landscapes of the Pleistocene. In the tundra steppes of Siberia, the megaloceros, the great horned deer, walked alongside mammoths. Yet its domain was not one of singular terrain. It preferred the dappled light of mixed forests, the open meadows, and the tangled spaces of overgrown shrubbery. Its precise origins remain shrouded in the mists of prehistory, with ancestral traces pointing towards the mountains of the North Caucasus or the alpine valleys of ancient Greece. The final answer is a puzzle science has yet to solve. As the last glacial period waned, these magnificent deer spread with astonishing success, colonizing nearly all of Europe and pushing deep into Siberia, as far as Lake Baikal. Genetically, their closest living relative is the fallow deer, yet any comparison in size is rendered absurd. The great horned deer was a colossus, weighing up to 700 kilograms and rising 2 meters at the shoulder. But its defining feature, its impossible crown, was its antlers. This was a breathtaking architecture of bone, achieving a span of 360 centimeters and weighing 40 kilograms alone. It was a symbol of power and fitness, but also an immense biological cost. The last of these giants lived in the northern Black Sea region, some 7.5 to 8,000 years ago. Their demise is a story of a world in flux. Scientists believe a warming climate, which allowed dense forests to reclaim the open lands, became a fatal obstacle for an animal burdened by such enormous headgear. This environmental pressure, combined with the growing proficiency of human hunters, sealed their fate. Across the Atlantic, on the continent of North America, a different kind of giant patrolled the waterways. Here, the colossal beaver, Castaroides, navigated a world teeming with the era's most fearsome predators, the saber-toothed cat and the terrifying short-faced bear. Yet its sheer scale was its shield. The body of this unique animal reached 190 centimeters, and with its tail exceeded 2 meters in length. It could weigh up to 120 kilograms, making it a formidable challenge for any carnivore. Naturally, these beavers were superb swimmers, their powerful feet equipped with webbing between the toes. Curiously, their tail was more elongated and slender than that of their modern relatives, more closely resembling the tail of a muskrat. They fed on the bark of trees, on tender shoots, and a variety of aquatic plants. To fell a tree, they employed a pair of formidable incisors, sharpened chisels of enamel that could grow up to 15 centimeters long. Yet for all their power, they were engineers of a different sort. Evidence suggests they built uninstructed the great dams that define their modern descendants. They were masters of the den, but not the dam. These animals vanished no earlier than 11,000 years ago, surviving long enough to overlap with the first peoples of the continent. They were creatures so immense, so unforgettable, that their memory was not lost to time, but woven into the very fabric of human myth, preserved in the legends of North American indigenous tribes. They are a testament to a world of impossible scale, a reminder that even the most colossal forms of life are but fleeting expressions in the immense saga of the Earth. Across the vanished landscapes of a younger world, a different kind of giant held dominion. This was the age of the Mastodon. For 35 million years, their lineage, a distinct branch of the great Proboscidean order, carved its path through the continents. Originating in the ancient cradle of Africa, their journey was one of relentless expansion. They pushed north into the vastness of Eurasia, their heavy footfalls echoing through primeval forests and across sweeping grasslands. In time, they traversed the great land bridge that would one day sink beneath the Bering Strait, entering a new world, the Americas, which would become their final stronghold. Though they shared a superficial resemblance to their more famous cousins, the mammoths, and to the elephants of today, the mastodons were a unique creation of evolution. Their very name hints at the difference, derived from the distinctive, cone-shaped cusps on their molars, teeth designed not for grinding grass, but for crushing tougher vegetation, twigs, leaves, and the branches of conifers. Their arsenal was also different. Tusks, the iconic weapons of the elephant clan, were present not only in the upper jaw, but often erupted from the lower jaw as well, a formidable four-tusked arrangement. Some of their close relatives, the gomphotheres, evolved these lower tusks into extrain. In stature, they were more compact, more robustly built than a mammoth. Even the largest males rarely exceeded 3 meters at the shoulder, powerful but not colossal. Their lives, we believe, mirrored the social fabric of modern elephants, a world of deep matriarchal bonds where herds of females and their young moved in unison, while the great bulls roamed the periphery, solitary and independent. For millennia they thrived, until the world began to change. Around 10,000 years ago, as the great ice sheets retreated, the mastodons' reign came to a close. Their disappearance was not a single cataclysmic event, but a slow erosion, a confluence of pressures. The climate shifted, altering the very forests that sustained them. A new and lethally intelligent predator, man, had spread across their lands. And perhaps an invisible killer, the Asti, into the silence of extinction. But the world of the megafauna was not confined to the great northern continents. Far across the ocean, on an isolated archipelago, evolution had conducted a radically different experiment. In New Zealand, a land without the tread of a single native mammal, another giant reigned. This was the moa. At the boundary of the Pleistocene and the Holocene, this was a kingdom of birds. 9 distinct species, from the size of a modern turkey to titans of unbelievable scale, dominated every terrestrial ecosystem. The largest, the South Island giant moa, could stretch its neck to a staggering height of 3.6 meters, plucking leaves from branches far beyond the reach of any other creature. Fossil evidence, particularly the structure of their skulls, suggests they did not hold this posture, cut a low-slung profile for foraging on the forest floor, raising their necks only when necessary. They were the great herbivores, the grazers and browsers of this strange, isolated world. And in a detail that sets them apart from all other birds, known and unknown, they possessed not even the slightest, most rudimentary trace of wings. They were utterly, completely flightless, their anatomy a testament to millions of years free from ground-based predators. Their only natural enemy was a terror from the sky, the Haast's eagle, the largest eagle known to have existed, which hunted the moa from above. This fragile balance, honed over millennia, was about to be shattered. Around the year 1400, a new predator arrived, one that came not from the sky, but from across the sea. The first Polynesian settlers, the ancestors of the Maori, found a land teeming with these incredible birds, a population estimated to be anywhere from 58,000 to over 2 million strong. To the newcomers, the moa were a seemingly inexhaustible resource. Within a single century, this two-legged hunter accomplished what millions of years of evolution and aerial predation could not. The moa were hunted to oblivion, all 9 species gone. Their predator, the Haast's eagle, deprived of its primar. What remains of these lost worlds are ghosts in the rock and echoes in our imagination. The landscapes they inhabited are now silent, the ground they shook no longer trembles. We see a planet of Arctic plains and tamed forests and assume it has always been so. But beneath the thin veneer of the present lies the shadow of these other realities, of four-tusked giants browsing in ancient American woodlands, and of wingless birds ruling a forest island. Their extinction is a quiet but profound reminder that the world we inherit is but a fragment of what has been, a single frame in the epic and often tragic story of life itself. The world we see today is but a shadow of a lost kingdom. The modern tundra, a vast expanse of moss and lichen, appears desolate, a landscape locked in ice. Yet, this is a recent development, a degraded echo of what was once the most extensive biome on the planet, the Mammoth Steppe. Between 100,000 and 12,000 years ago, this immense grassland stretched across the majority of the northern hemisphere. It was an ecosystem of unimaginable richness, a spectacle of life to rival the modern African savanna. The key to its vibrancy lay in a climate profoundly different from our own. It was a world defined by a dry, deep frost, a sea of nutrient-rich grasses, many growing to a height of over 2 meters. Along the river valleys, groves of willow and dwarf birch stood sentinel, punctuated by rare coniferous and mixed forests. The cold, arid air worked a unique alchemy. Instead of rotting, the grasses cured directly on the stalk, transforming into natural hay. Even in the depths of winter, this abundant fodder remained accessible beneath a shallow layer of snow. The true architects of this world were the colossal herbivores themselves. Immense herds of mammoths, bison, and horses did more than just graze. With every step, their immense weight trampled uneaten vegetation and nutrient-rich dung into the earth. This constant churning created a dense, fertile turf, a layer perhaps no more than 1 meter deep, but one that locked precious nutrients into the soil. This prevented them from washing away, ensuring a rapid, explosive regrowth during the short but intense northern summer. This perfect, self-sustaining cycle fueled an astonishing food web. Countless herds of giants moved across the plains, and where the grazers thrived, ECs was not just a loss of life, it was the unraveling of the entire system. The grasslands gave way to bog and moss, the fertile earth was sealed beneath permafrost, and the great steppe fell silent. It is a stark reminder that an ecosystem is not merely a collection of species, but an intricate dance, and when the dancers disappear, the music fades forever.